Wyrd Realities explores the paranormal, preternatural, and supernatural worlds that surround us. Here we delve into those topics that challenge us to think outside the limitations of realism, where we test the boundaries of imagination and are forced to think outside the confines and restrictions of what is normal. We are the creators, the writers, the artists, and the insane. Welcome to our Wyrd Realities.
Happy Thursday, Weirdlings. I'm Hadley Thorne, paranormal fantasy author, and it is that time again, and I'm so excited to discuss this week's movies. Our theme this week was movies with twists we didn't see coming, and let me tell you, there's some good ones. Joining me tonight are those wild men of horror, Mr. Scott Baker, and that darling madman from Massachusetts, Mr. Richard Stucci. But before the shenanigans begin, be sure to hit that like, subscribe, and follow button to show the weird kids your support. Now grab your popcorn and Coke and sit down and get ready. So we're going to start getting weird. Hey guys, what's up?
Howdy, Hadley.
Howdy.
Rich.
How is everyone today?
Up the creek without a paddle.
In the shit, yeah.
I was telling them before that our septic tank out back is clogged, and the only reason we know is it backs up into the lowest exit in the house, which is my half bathroom down by the bathroom. So I have been just throwing towels down all day, trying to prevent the sewerage water from spreading. And of course, I got a 6-month-old dog that like runs through it, runs around the house, comes back, runs through it, runs around the house.
I'm just going to stop for a minute and ask everyone to give StreamYard permission to show your name, because we cannot see other than that you're on Facebook. Who is? Oh, hey, Alan Lassiter's own. So y'all just be sure and let us know. We want to know who we're talking with.
Well, I'm sure one of those Facebook users is my NSA watcher.
Landa's own, but I can't see her.
Yeah, they can see. We just
it
can't
does
see.
Too.
Most of you are coming up as Facebook
damn
user.
Scott, that stinks.
Yeah.
We're gonna have fun with Scott tonight.
Oh my God, yes.
And Alan Gamboa may or may not join us. He had some stuff going on at work and was running a little late. So
there was a snowflake in Nevada.
Yes. Yeah, people couldn't drive.
Poor Alan.
At least Nevada occasionally gets snow. That snow in Florida would have shut the state down for a week.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mississippi, man.
Oh.
Hey, Max.
Yeah, how do you ask? Yeah, that's a good
question.
I
have no idea. I don't know. I'm streaming to, I've added us where it's going to stream directly to our Facebook community instead of the Facebook page. I changed that, so that could be why. And it should be on Horror Writers Inc.'s page. And
yeah, I know I'm going to get crap for this one tonight.
Who is that? Because that's exactly what I said.
In my defense, I had not seen this movie since 1985, and I only remember the cab scene and the ending. You know, and then as I'm watching, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. Oh yeah, I remember that. Hi, Jim.
Why don't we just do yours
Jim.
first?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get started with that.
All right.
Full on 70s glow we had going.
It was 1980. It was still the era of Jimmy Carter, though. I picked Dress to Kill. I saw that when I was in college, and the ending blew me away. I honestly had no idea about because it was so well written and so well directed by Brian De Palma that it deflected. I'm giving away the ending of the movie. I think we all have to give away the endings of the movie to make them twisted. So if you don't want to hear it, I'll let you know, like shut me off when I start to get near it. Movie opens up with Kate Miller, played by Angie Dickinson, who at the time was a huge name. She was known as Policewoman, very, very popular. And it begins with a series. I mean, this woman is sexually frustrated. It opens with a shower scene with a body double in which her affair in the shower turns into a strangulation, and then she wakes up, and then she has less than satisfying sex with her husband, where she has to fake it. And then she winds out, she's going to go to the museum that afternoon. She asks her son Peter, played by Keith Gordon, who we all remember from Christine, and Back to School, a favorite of mine. And he says no, he's a science geek, he's doing some special project. So she goes to see her psychiatrist first, Dr. Robert Elliott, played by one of my favorite actors, Michael Caine. And she's talking about her sexual frustration, how she's never satisfied her husband. She fakes orgasms with her husband. And then she starts to come on to Dr. Elliott. You know, would you have an affair with me? You know, Dr. Elliott gets very uptight, and he's like, no, you know, don't you think I'm pretty? I think you're very pretty, and I would have sex with you, but I'm a married man. I'm your doctor. So she goes to the museum. There's this really long seduction scene where she meets this guy who looks like your 70s hot guy. And I mean, it's way too long. You know, she like comes on to him, and then he walks away, and she gets embarrassed, and then he follows her, and she gets upset, but she loses a glove. So she finally leaves the museum, and there's a cab sitting out front, and the guy's sitting there holding the glove out to her. So she comes over, she opens the door, she takes the glove and says, oh, thank you so much. And he pulls her into the cab. And while they're driving around New York City, he goes down on her. I'm not going to, you know, the cab driver's watching. And apparently when they filmed this scene, they did it in New York City. So all of the people were seeing her like, look, that's Angie Dickinson. That's policewoman. She goes back to his house. They spend the night together. She gets up, and as she's writing him a little note, I enjoyed our afternoon, she sees that he has a venereal disease. Dun, 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 dun. You know, so the typical, you know, if you don't do it wrong, if you do something wrong, you're going to punish for this. So she runs out of the apartment, and halfway downstairs, she left her expensive wedding ring. So she goes back up to get the wedding ring, and as the door opens, this very weird-looking woman, she had reddish hair, dark glasses, long coat, comes in with a razor, a straight-edge razor, and slashes across her hand. And then as the doors close, she slashes at this person right and left. And enters Liz Blake, Nancy Allen. She's in the building with a friend / client. She's a very high-class call girl. When the elevator's open, she sees Angie Dickinson there. So she goes in to help, and she sees in the concave mirror this woman standing there with the razor. So she stops, the woman drops the razor, Nancy Allen pulls it out. One of the hotel staff sees her, thinks she's the murderer. She gets wrapped up in now part of the investigation with, oh God, what was the name of the cop?
It's Dennis Franz.
Dennis Franz.
It was Marino is his name in the movie.
He is a stereotypical New York Italian cop in this one. But he's so bad, he's funny. So he's arguing with her and telling her, you're the prime suspect, you know, you better find out something, you know, you're going to go to jail. So Kate Miller runs into, I'm sorry, not Kate Miller. Liz Blake runs into Peter Miller, and they start talking. And because Peter Miller he being a geek, he set a camera out in front of Dr. Elliott's place, and he recorded that woman coming out of the house, and he confers with Liz, and Liz is like, yeah, that's the woman I saw in the elevator. So they're trying to figure out how to work this. Meanwhile, Dr. Elliott, Michael Caine, starts getting voice messages from Bobby. Bobby is one of his clients. Bobby is a transsexual. Bobby and Dr. Elliot will not approve the surgery for the sex change. So Bobby said he's going somewhere else. He's going to another doctor to have it approved. And, there's going to be consequences to this. Dr. Elliot and he's called in by the police, and he refuses to say anything because he doesn't want to rat out his client. So he goes to another psychiatrist at another institution and tells him about Bobby. That Bobby is, I know you approved the sex change. Bobby's on a killing spree. We've got to sit down and talk about this. I don't remember the character's name, but he's played by, I think, Dan Margulies, who was, he was, damn it.
He did a lot of stuff.
Yeah. He was the mayor in New York City in the Ghostbusters movie. That's it. I was thinking the mayor of Amityville, but that's another guy.
You're right. Anyway, that is where he was from.
So anyways, there's scenes where, the Bobby is tracking down Liz Blake. There's a really long scene on the subway. And she goes to Kevin Franz and tells him, and he goes, look, I can't get in there. The courts are going to take months for me to go in there to get his records. If we want to know who Bobby is, he pretty much says, you're going to have to do it yourself. So they set it up. Peter's outside filming everything and watching. Liz goes in. She's wearing a long coat. She's talking to the doctor. She's being seductive. She slips off her coat, and she's wearing negligee underneath. So, she's being very seductive to him. And she says, well, you decide whether you want to take advantage of me. I'm going to go freshen up. So she leaves his office, goes into the outer office, and goes through the files and finds Bobby's address. Meanwhile, the woman shows up. Bobby shows up, and Bobby is about to kill her. She's sneaking up on Liz. Liz can't see her because she's looking out the window. And Peter's waving to her, no, get out. All of a sudden, somebody steps in front of Peter, pulls out a gun, and fires through the window and shoots Bobby. Bobby falls over. Bobby is actually Dr. Elliot, Michael Caine. And then in the follow-up to it is you find out that Dr. Elliot was a transsexual, and that part of him, the male side of him, didn't want to make the final transition, the Dr. Elliot side. But whenever a woman tried to come on to him, like Kate Miller, like Liz, that's when Bobby took over. And the reason they know this is because Margulies, the other psychiatrist, when he talked to him about Bobby, he was talking to him about himself. He called the cops came down and saved the situation. Now, I will admit, when I watched the movie last night, it was like, yeah, this movie's kind of outdated, but I still love it because it's one of those first movies that shocked me. I really didn't see that ending coming. So I will pass it on for criticism or praise, which I'm
going to have to just jump in there with 2 feet and say,
all right, you too.
Number 1, this movie would never get made today. So let's just cover that.
Yes.
Number 2, I don't know how you didn't realize that was Michael Caine in the elevator with the wig and the high cheekbones. Because I saw this from get-go.
I knew it was a dude. And, now looking at it, okay, yeah, I can see it's Michael Caine. But back then, I think De Palma did a good job of deflecting it. With Bobby calling him with a different voice and Michael Caine going, I saw the whole movie as, he knows who the murderer is, but he's protecting her.
Well, I think that was what they wanted to go for, but
yeah,
like I said, guys, I did not see the same movie my esteemed colleague did. I thought this movie it wasn't even ridiculous. It was just bad. From the sex scene with Angie Dickinson being incredibly God, it was. I mean, I don't even know. Like, I literally had turned the TV on, looked down at my phone, looked back up, and there's a naked woman. No words, no nothing. It was just her and all of her 1970s glory from the top of her, you know what, to the, you know.
Yes, that's another thing too that I didn't remember, that they
The
actually
full
showed
full
the full
70s.
Monty.
The
We're
full
talking
70s Monty.
that
yeah.
mimic. We're talking about Dress to Kill.
Now, the body was awesome. I'm not going to say that. It was a double. Wasn't Angie Dickinson. Like, there was a lot of hoopla about.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she looked good. That was great. And then she goes into she's being raped while her husband's brushing his teeth. And you're like, I still don't really know what's going on here. And then it transforms to her having the most lackluster sex life ever with this man. I'm assuming her husband.
Yeah.
And then, of course, she's the bad, dirty slut when she goes and tells the psychiatrist how she doesn't, really enjoy her sex life, blah, 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 blah. And then he turns her down, which that never would have happened. That whole thing with the psychiatrist would have never said, oh, yes, I want to have sex with you, but I can't because I'm a good husband. Just wouldn't have happened. That would have been something else. And then we go from that to I don't know who taught these people the art of seduction, because it wasn't anything more than here's Alan. He's gonna want to hear this. Hey, Alan.
Alan will be in a minute.
Too much snow.
There he is.
Hey, Alan.
Hey, buddy.
I'm mid rant, so I'm just gonna keep going.
Go ahead.
Where was I?
Go.
You were talking about
the museum. The museum.
Oh.
So she's at the museum because that's where she was going. That's where she told the doctor, wink, wink, she was going. And she's there, sitting there, fiddling with her gloves. And then this man comes and he sits next to her and she's like, is he going to ask me to go into the closet? And you're going, well, she must be a nymphomaniac. That must be what's going on here. I've seen a pattern. And then the guy gets up and he leaves because, she took off her glove to show her ring. So he leaves. And she's going to walk off because she feels dejected. But then she's like, oh, wait, I see a window of opportunity here. So she goes chasing after the man. And I don't know how long. There's 9 minutes of this. I was like, how big is this museum? Where are these people going? And she would just get a glimpse. And then she would just keep going. And finally, she's like outside and she's all like, oh. And he's in the cab with her glove that she had dropped. It was just terrible. Oh, I can't even say what it was like, but y'all know. I'm just not going to go further because that could go bad. But yeah, it was a bad movie, Scott. Bad.
Sorry.
I'm not even. Wait. And then we have the gang of thugs at the
train station,
and that was so bad. Again, that's just movies that can't be made today.
No.
And then when she takes her jacket off, the prostitute takes the jacket off later at the end of the movie. I'm going to skip forward because I just can't remember everything. There will be no dogs for this movie. Somebody's asking. She takes off her coat only to have on no pants.
Yeah. She had panties on.
She did have panties and her garters, but no, she had none on. And it was like, what? I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, was
Scott has a movie
really
with a woman with no panties on?
No, she's got panties on, no pants.
She had panties on.
Yeah. Not in the opening scenes. That you got to see the full Monty.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the full 70s.
This is
there Scott, we know.
This is Brian De Palma. And De Palma, he had in the 1980s, De Palma wanted to make movies that should have been in the 1950s. And he's got all kinds of symbolism that he just drips everywhere. But the problem with it is it's symbolism that either nobody gets, makes people uncomfortable, or just doesn't work. So a lot of he would open the mirror and the razor would be glinting. And that's cool for 1 second, but it's like an 8-second scene. And like Hadley said, the scene in the museum was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
That should have been a 2-minute scene, and everybody would have gone, "Oh yeah, oh I see. She's not happy with her sex life, so she's hanging out with this guy." Make no mistake about it. This is softcore porn at the beginning. I tried to watch this. I watch it upstairs on my big TV. Kids walking in and out, so you can't pause it because there's sex on the screen. You got to shut it off. So I'm like, all right. It took me 40 minutes to watch the first 10 minutes of this movie. You know, then it goes right from there, right from the shower scene to her with her husband in the bed, and after that, you've got the 10 minutes in the I want to say movie theater, the 10 minutes in the museum, followed by another sex scene in the cab. So I'm like, and that was today because I couldn't get through it yesterday. So I was watching it today, and that was the time that all my kids came home. I'm like, what are you kidding me? They're gonna think I'm watching porn. You know, after that, the plot builds a little and you get a little bit more into it, but it never really goes anywhere. There's a lot of characters that just, there's no character development at all. There's none. It's just throw a character in, see what they can do, and let's make money. That was kind of the movie. The movie wasn't terrible. It wasn't good. It just wasn't, there wasn't a lot going on. The I knew it was
terrible.
I knew it was Michael Caine. I knew the bad guy was the bad person was Michael Caine. Probably, I think when he was talking, when he went to the other hospital to talk to the other doctor, I think I had it figured then because it was just weird. And I was like, something's up. But I didn't remember it was Michael Caine from when I had seen it before. When I had seen it before, maybe 15, 18 years ago, it was on television. So all that sex stuff wasn't in it. None of that was there. So
you didn't even miss it.
No, because it wasn't good. It was not bad. Softcore porn. It was bad. So connoisseur
except
porn,
for the cab scene. Except for the cab scene.
Even that. I mean, it's not something you want to watch with your kids running around. But this one just wasn't my favorite. And Brian De Palma's movies, they're all right. I don't think he's this great director everybody said he was, but like I said, a lot of symbolism getting thrown around. But you think, Alan?
Before I let Alan rip into it, let me just say I agree with one thing. He could have trimmed good 30 minutes out of that movie. You could have cut down the scene on the subway to 2 or 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
You could have cut down the museum to 2 or 3. You could have just slashed so much out of that movie. The chase scene when Bobby, who turns out to be at first the cop, that is just so dragged out. But yeah, Michael Caine did that. All right. Sorry, Alan, go ahead. Rip it apart.
Well, there was a part at the beginning that needed trimmed, definitely. I saw this movie when it came out, and I was a teenager, I think, and I didn't like it back then. I thought it was boring. It was this big build up, Brian De Palma movies are always like blowout, body double, all that, but there's no payoff. He's like him and John Carpenter, I think, are kind of went to the same film school or something. But anyway, probably gonna get killed for that, bashed for that. I love John Carpenter movies. He just needs to put a good ending to them, Anyway, Scott, I didn't like this one. It was boring. I love Michael Caine. He just like somebody said in here, he was just doing it for the paycheck, and obviously he was. I don't know when he stopped really acting and doing it for the paycheck. I know when he played the butler on Batman, he did good. He started acting, but most of his movies in the 80s sucked. Remember that one with the hand? I think it was an Oliver Stone movie, Yeah, most of his movies just suck. Jaws
4.
This time, I mean, he put out some crap.
Yeah.
He put out some crap.
The chat room wants to know if Tina watched it with you.
No, she doesn't. She watches about 70% of the movie. If she watched 80% of the movie, she'd she'd probably, I don't know, go crazy.
I will admit
Gotta watch what I
this.
say on here, right?
Yeah, Alan be divorced.
I will admit, if
Yeah.
I had seen this within the past year, I would have passed it up, and my plot, my twist ending would have been No Way Out.
Oh yeah, we did that
Kind of
one though,
movie.
right? We did that one already.
Yeah, we did that one.
We did?
Yeah,
Must have been before
Yeah.
my time.
you picked it.
You picked it.
The one with Kevin Costner?
Yes,
you
and
picked
Sean
it.
Young. You picked
Wow. Okay, I'm telling you, they'll be.
Was that edible, buddy?
I told my wife the other night she better find a nursing home like with 2 beds, one for me, one for her mother, because I'm going to be there so soon. So what would you people, and here's the sad part where my heart breaks, what do you give this? How do you rate it?
I'll give
That
it a
body
2.
double deserves at least one dong.
Yeah, I'll give it a 2.
Dress to Kill came out in 1980.
Right.
It was popular because it was they only spent 6.5 million making it, and it made close to 32 million in the box office.
Yeah, it was Brian De Palma, Angie
Yeah.
Dickinson, and Michael Caine. They were all huge names back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like
They were.
Angie
so-
Dickinson was even in the movie though.
No, she wasn't. But
Well,
she-
see, that was one of the plot twists. That was one of the great things. Everybody thought, oh, Angie Dickinson will be through this movie to the very end. And the idea that they hacked her up and killed her within the first 30, 40 minutes was supposedly the big surprise, the second big surprise.
She pulled a Sean Bean before Sean Bean.
What, Tony? I don't know. I think Dr. Elliott would have disagreed with you. So what do you give it, Alan?
I'll give it a 2.1. Just to out
Just to
score
outdog
Rich.
me?
All right.
About
I'm going to give it about a 2.75, but a lot of that is nostalgia.
Mm-hmm. I could see that because it was big when it came out.
I'm reading the Facebook user comment, and it's like, no. I'm going to have a dream about that tonight, and I'm going to remember. I'm going to
Me
thank
too,
you.
Landa.
But the thing about that is eventually with everybody, it's old person sex.
Yeah.
You know, eventually you might think you're young and but eventually you're the 70-year-old.
Yeah.
You know,
That's coming
Unless-
through.
yeah.
It's rapid. It'll be here just like 5 minutes. I'll be 70. So
yeah, you're Roger Daltrey, you know, at one point, I hope I die before I get old. And then you're like, man, I better take these pills, my heart pills, so I can get on stage and do this show because I'm freaking 75, you know, and singing that lyric.
it's crazy.
Yeah, so everybody ends up with old person sex. So, bam.
Yeah, but do you really want to walk in and see that?
It depends if you're the old person.
All
I was
that-
gonna say it
All
depends on
that
how old
wrinkly
you are.
skin, you know.
Hey, but everybody gets that. You end up there eventually, or you don't.
Looks like 2 French bulldogs, maybe.
Hey, but you'll be going, man, that French bulldog looks great right now.
Yeah.
So what do you say, boss? What'd you think?
Oh,
Yeah,
I only gave it a 1.
Yeah. Oh, you
One
did.
dong.
Yeah.
Landa and Jen are giving it a dong. I mean,
Dong a piece.
It could have been better.
I think
you
the
know?
girls. I think the girls really, across the board, we did not like this one.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody liked it too much.
no.
Yeah.
I think it made money just because of the salaciousness
Yeah.
and
Well,
the
they
actors
were-
that were in it.
Remember, they were telling everybody it was Angie Dickinson. That was her body, and that was a big. She had just finished up with Policewoman, and she was really given a lot of credit for being a feminist during the whole Policewoman thing. So everybody was like, "Oh my God, she's doing this!" And apparently, Angie thought that she got more from being a feminist in that cab scene than she did in the whole seasons of Policewoman. So I don't know.
No, I haven't seen it, Tony.
Now I've
Yeah,
got it, Tony.
I saw it. It was all right. It was okay.
All right. So I've disappointed you 2 out of 3 weeks now. So
Yeah, but last week was on purpose.
Yeah, but
no,
Honestly,
last
you
week
won.
wasn't disappointment. It was the week before.
Yeah,
that
last
you
week
all
was
hated my
good.
movie.
You won.
Yeah, but it
Yeah,
was the
you
week
won.
before you all hated my movie.
We don't.
So this movie,
Which-
We
Scott,
don't hate your movies, Scott. We
I liked
just
it
don't
when I was a
appreciate
kid.
them
I
like
thought
you.
it was
Yeah.
pretty good, and I was going into this thinking, "Oh yeah, that was a good movie." Then I watched it, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
that was a long
exact
time
same
ago."
here. Exact same here. All right, now whose is next?
Riches.
Oh, I'll go. Sure. Well, my movie was Shattered with Tom Berenger. It was released in 1991, and it stars Tom Berenger, and it's a film with a fantastic twist ending. The film itself is a bit dated, and I mean, it kind of holds up. It's all right, but it's got those 80s sex scenes, which always included some type of background, and this one has ocean waves with Knights in White Satin playing. It was just odd. The movie was directed by Wolfgang Petersen. He did Das Boot and then Neverending Story. So he did a couple of other things, but those were his real big ones. It's a bit overacted. It's a psychological thriller that starts with a car crash and ends with several murders. Greta Scacchi, Joanne Whalley, and Corbin Bernsen and Bob Hoskins round out the cast of tryhards, because that's what they were. They were attempted to sell a decent flick as a great one, and it just didn't work. Hoskins steals the show as a pet owner who moonlights as a private detective. He hands down the best acting in the movie. The critics are split on the ending of the film, as it's a bit implausible, but I really liked the twist and didn't see it coming. The film grossed about $11.5 million versus a budget of $22 million, so it was a box office flop. Shattered was made when Berenger and Bernsen were both desired for their film roles. It was when they were pretty much at their biggest. It was 1991. The plot's decent with a couple of holes, but basically it runs something like this. After a car crash, Tom Berenger, who plays Dan Merrick, face is all smashed up in the car crash. And his wife, Greta Scacchi, brings a photo of him for the doctors to engage in facial reconstructive surgery. The biggest plot point in the film is that Dan has suffered amnesia because of the head wounds and can't remember anything about his past life. He knows how to drive, he knows how to talk, but he can't remember any people or what he used to do. When Dan comes home, he finds evidence that his wife was having an affair and that everything about his life seems a little off. And the duo goes to visit Corbin Bernsen, who is his business partner, who is Dan's business partner, and Wally Kilmer, who is Bernsen's wife. And the gathering was a little bit tense. Dan goes back to work the next day, finds out that he's paid this pet owner $7,000 for something. And it turns out that something was private investigation of his wife, back before he had the accident. Bad and weird things start to happen. The intrigue builds as Dan tries to figure out what the hell's going on in his life before the accident. So this is a movie that I honestly, I can't really say too much more about the plot without giving away the ending. And the ending is totally worth the wait. If you haven't seen, I really don't want to wreck it for anybody, because if you see this twist coming, you're much better at that than I am. And I used to think I was pretty good, but there are a couple of twists in this week's movies that I didn't see. I liked the film when I saw it years ago, and I liked it this time too, although I mentioned it's quite dated. And I mean, I guess it holds up a little, but it's not, like I said, it wasn't great. I thought it was good, but it wasn't fantastic. What did you guys think?
Oh, this was a lot of fun, because it's like every 90s movie like that. It's like Tequila Sunrise, or
Yep.
It's the same thing. I believe there's probably a saxophone in the soundtrack.
Yeah. Sure, yeah.
Yeah. But the twist
Kenny
was great.
G.
Yeah. Or the Lethal Weapon saxophone.
Yeah.
Tom Berenger, he was really great for a while. You missed some of these movies that he was in, and then all of a sudden he slipped off into B movie hell.
Yeah.
But this is one of the ones that, he was going up his upward trajectory, and he was the leading man. His Platoon's still my favorite Berenger movie.
Of course, yeah.
But it was good, because the twist you did not see coming.
No, I didn't see it coming. I don't know who else could have, but I didn't see that.
I didn't see it coming either. It was such a good twist. It was probably like, hey, we got to end this movie. How about this? But I enjoyed this movie. I really did, for all its 90s cheesiness. It was fun. So that's my take on it.
What do you guys
Hey, Mark.
think?
Hey, Mark.
I saw this movie when it came out, so I knew, but I've seen it a few times. I think it's a good movie, and I really enjoyed it. It's not my favorite for the week. It's not even my second favorite for the week, but it was a good movie. But it was kind of dated, looking back. But I did enjoy it. It's a good flick. I recommend it to anybody.
Scott?
I loved it, except for one thing. I watched Shattered with Gerard Butler and Pierce Brosnan. That's why when you're talking about Berenger, I'm like, what the? I got the wrong movie. But my movie, Shattered with Gerard Butler and Pierce Brosnan, great movie. Didn't see some of the ending coming. I would watch that one. As for this one, I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
Well,
I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you, pretty soon they'll be coming and put me in that. For Christmas, I'll probably get one of those, jackets with the long sleeves.
Damn. Cool. So what are we giving this one? What do you say, Alan?
I'll give it a 3. Solid
Hadley?
3.
I'll give it a solid 3.
Scott?
I didn't see it, but I give my movie
grade it anyway.
I give my movie a 4.5. So
I'll be watching that.
Is that a hard 4.5?
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Hard 4.5 dongs.
I'll give it a 3.5 just because nobody saw that ending coming.
No, that ending was
Thank you,
crazy. Like I said, did they stumble into that ending, or was it the plan all along?
No, man. They must have planned it. It was.
I know.
It was crazy.
It's such a good ending on that. Hadley?
What? Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn.
Okay,
Your turn.
okay. My movie was Primal Fear. And I've got to tell y'all, this movie, well, first off, it's based on a novel by William Deal, and it stars Richard Gere. And Richard Gere is playing this flamboyant Chicago defense attorney, Martin Vale, who is not necessarily an ambulance chaser, but he is one of those that likes to be in the limelight and isn't afraid to do pro bono to get it. Well, the great thing about this movie is it is the debut role for Edward Norton, and I love him. And this movie is phenomenal with his portrayal, and he plays this, I think probably like 19-year-old kid from Kentucky who's charged with murdering this archbishop in Chicago. So I have seen this movie countless times over the year, and it never ceases to entertain me. I enjoy it, even knowing how it's going to end. I always catch something new. So, let's see. The plot of the movie centers around the grisly murder of this Catholic archbishop in Chicago, and the suspect is Aaron. Sorry, I had to say it. Aaron Stampler, played by Norton, and he is pretty much considered guilty because they caught him running from the popo covered in blood. And then it comes back to, but did he really commit the crime? Well, Vale kind of starts to buy into Aaron's story, and as he learns more, there starts to be this kind of suspicious dealings going on in Chicago politics. There's a lot of corruption. The DAs, there's just a lot of big name people involved with stuff. And the archbishop was kind of in the middle of it. So you have a lot of people who are issuing death threats to the archbishop, and then wait for it, archbishop, Catholic choir boys. Where we go from there? No one saw that coming, did they?
No.
Well, anyway, so there's this tape.
Especially the choir boys. Bam!
There's this tape, and sweet Aaron is out there looking pretty guilty. Anyway, so it's just, there's a lot of stuff going on. It is so masterfully done, I cannot tell you. It is like watching a dance between Richard Gere and all of these kind of supporting performances going on in this movie, and it is beautiful to watch. And I say this, I'm not a Richard Gere fan, but this movie is what is, to me, is probably his defining work. He does a phenomenal job. It's great. I think everyone should see this movie because there's something to like. If you like the criminal elements, because this was around the time, wasn't it? The John Grisham movies were really big.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like that kind of courtroom battle against good versus evil, this is it. But honestly, y'all, it's like Beethoven's Ninth with the sheer brilliance of it. The characters played masterfully off each other, and while the plot is great, it's what each of these actors brings to the performance that makes it a stellar performance. Again, not a fan of Gere, but he shines so bright in this movie.
Mhm.
It is just amazing. And then for supporting performances, you have Laura Linney, and y'all probably know her
Yeah.
from Ozarks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John Mahoney, who I know from Frasier.
Oh,
Frances
yeah.
McDermott
Yeah.
has done a ton of stuff, and Alfred
Right.
Woodford. And
She's in everything still.
well,
Yeah.
and her part was written for a white male judge,
Wow.
and she is a beautiful black woman, and she
Mm.
killed that performance.
Yeah, she did.
Oh, she's great.
But it's just strong performances, very convincing, and like I said, the tango between Richard Gere and Edward Norton gives this phenomenal just oomph that makes this as a classic movie. And like I said, I watched it, I've probably seen it 13, 14 times now. And today's, it's like I looked up and I called.
Slow down, Hadley. Whoa.
Sorry.
Calm. Step back from the primal fear.
Okay.
Sorry.
She just likes Ed Norton.
I do.
Sorry.
I do. Well, out of 2,100 actors, Edward Norton won this role. Now, they originally
Really?
had wanted Leonardo DiCaprio,
No.
but Norton won it because he was able to pull off the duplicity of, and I'm not even going to tell y'all because I know somebody out there hadn't seen this movie, and I'm not going to ruin it for them. But the duplicity of the nature of his character, and he nailed it. Will Wheaton turned down this role, just so
Good.
y'all know.
Thank God.
Yeah.
There's no way
Well, I
anybody
think-
could have done this like
But,
Norton did.
You could probably spoil the
No.
ending because I think you've watched it for everybody, Hadley. Enough times.
Leave me alone,
You know, I
Alan.
think he is a Skarsgård in this one.
I'll watch other things. But there's a lot of stuff, like little scenes that Edward Norton had improvised, just like when he shoves Richard Gere against the prison wall. That was him, and Gere's reaction is completely genuine. He was not expecting Edward. I mean, who's this nobody actor pushing him around? I just
Plus,
loved
he's
it.
afraid he had a handful of gerbils or something.
Probably so. Probably so.
He was running.
But anyway, there, and if you enjoyed this performance and you'd like to see another one, Edward Norton did a character with, I think it was with a Robert De Niro movie called In
Yeah.
the Score.
Yep.
And he again, masterful performance of watching him just shed his skin as he just processes through different aspects of a character. Like, I know that I'm very enthusiastic, but this movie just so y'all know, was granted a total of 10 wins and 12 nominations for a lot of different awards. And most of those were for Edward Norton in his supporting role. And he did win, he got an Oscar nomination, and he won the Golden Globe and the MTV Worst Villain Award for that breakout role. So that's me. That's what I got. What do y'all think?
I think this movie's great.
Yeah.
I've seen it a few times. Haven't seen it like 13 or 14 times, but I've seen it, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times, and it was excellent every time. And we don't want to give away what it was, but the duality and the duplicity of Edward Norton is just amazing. And he goes from being the nicest kid in the world, definitely didn't kill anybody, to holy shit, this guy's nuts. So it was It was well done. It was well played. Laura Linney is absolutely excellent in this movie. I don't particularly care for her because she always plays this kind of a bitch. And in this movie,
Congo.
yeah, right. In this movie, Congo.
Sorry.
I know. She plays the prosecuting attorney, and she's fighting for her job on this one. And like Hadley said, there's dirty politics going on, and everybody's involved in it. And she's not, so she's trying to fight what's happening with that. This tape comes out, and it's a sex tape, and it's got the Archbishop in it. It's awful, and they all tell her, don't bring the tape up, destroy the tape, get rid of it. So of course she admits it into evidence, and right there her job's gone. But she's trying to get this psycho killer put in jail. But the thing is, Richard Gere, he's the better lawyer, and he's dirty. He's a dirty lawyer too, and he just gets the job done. Him and Frances McDormand, who is she's a psychoanalyst, and she's there to analyze Edward Norton. But I can't really say anything else without giving away the twist of this movie, and it's a really good twist. It's a really good twist. So I recommend it. I will watch this movie again.
Yeah,
Scott.
I agree with everything you guys have said so far. One of the best twist endings. To me, it ranks up there with No Way Out. For you, oh my God, I didn't expect that. Ed Norton, I think, is a severely underrated actor. He is phenomenal. In this movie, he is it's one of his best. And I can see how he won Best Villain for this one.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of early Richard Gere movies. But I think later, like this one, Unfaithful, I think he's really, when he gets away from that young, good-looking officer and a gentleman, and he's doing these, he's much better. Maloney was great. Maloney played a massive dick, which he does a massive dog, maybe, which he's great at doing.
You like massive dogs.
This movie...
That's how rumors get started.
This movie floored me. This was by far the best of the four picks.
Wow.
Big man.
I like this one. It was good. It was really good. The Edward Norton, like you were talking about earlier, Hadley, he did that movie, The Score, with De Niro, and I'd seen this one, and then I saw that one. And I thought, wow, he's really masterful at playing these characters that have another side to them. And this was a good flick. I love courtroom dramas, though. I'm a big fan of those. And I was a big fan of Officer and Gentleman. I wanted to be in his arms instead of what's her name, Sean Young. Yeah, I wanted him carrying me through the what is it, the uniform factory or whatever she was working at. No, but
now we know why you didn't like Dress to Kill.
If it was only for one scene, there'd be a lot of movies. Anyway. No, this is a good movie. The acting was all. I like John Mahoney. I wish he was still around, but of course he'd probably be, 100 years old now. But he was a great actor. He was great in this. Laura Linney, like you were saying, Rich, she gets typecast into the same character. Love Congo, but I really wasn't thrilled with her character in it. I wish Bruce Campbell was in it a little bit longer.
Right? Yeah.
But this has definitely got one of the better plot twists in it, and it's worth a watch if you haven't seen it, and especially if you like courtroom dramas, if you like Edward Norton, Skarsgård, but if you like Edward Norton, definitely a watch, because he is a great actor. I just watched The Italian Job with him in it, and he was a really good villain in that. So I like this movie.
Well,
I recommend it.
Somebody's saying that they don't like Edward Norton, and I'm going to say you must not have seen The People versus Larry Flint, because he was so good in that.
What role did he play in that?
So what do y'all give it?
I give it a 5.
The lawyer.
Oh, okay. I give it a 5.
Wow.
I'd give it a 4.
Goes with a 5. I'll give it a 4.5.
I'd give it a 4.
Hadley?
I want to give it a 5. I love this movie. I think everybody should see it at least once.
Well, you've seen it for everybody once.
Just leave me alone, Alan. Leave me alone.
Okay. My movie is 2003's Identity. And I got to read this because there's no simple way to explain this movie. It has a stellar cast. It's got an actor for everyone in this movie. Malcolm Rivers has been convicted as a perpetrator of several murders and is sentenced to death. An 11th hour defense by his lawyers and psychiatrists that Malcolm, they say he's insane based on new evidence that's been brought up. And they're going to transfer him out. Meanwhile, on a dark night during a torrential rainstorm in the Nevada desert, I'm in Nevada, a series of chain reaction events result in several people needing to stay at an out-of-the-way motel managed by the unfortunate Larry. There are an ex-cop, now limo driver Ed, which is John Cusack, his clientele Caroline, a diva, once famous actress, quiet adolescent Timmy, his stepfather George, and his mother Alice, who was seriously injured when Ed accidentally ran over her as she watched George change their flat tire. Wow. There's prostitute Paris. Gotta have a prostitute, right, Scott?
Yeah.
Who was the unwitting cause of George's flat tire. See, it all rolls into, it's neat how it all rolls into this story. Newlyweds Lou and Ginny, whose marriage is based on a lie. And police officer Rhodes, who was en route escorting prisoner Robert to his new institution. They all get stranded in this motel. Hijinks and shenanigans ensue. One of the things is all these people have the same birthday. This movie is very hard to explain. I mean, you could explain it simply, but then that would give away the ending. But it's you have Ray Liotta in it, John Cusack in one of his better roles. You have Amanda Peet in one of her, Doc Ock himself, Alfred Molina, Clea DuVall, John C. McGinley from Scrubs and Platoon, William Lee Scott, love that guy, Jake Busey. I mean, you've got a ton. And then you've got Pruitt Taylor Vance, who plays this death row inmate. I love that dude. He was in Walking Dead. Unfortunately, he got, what's his Shane?
Otis.
Used him as bait.
Yes,
Otis.
He's in Constantine.
That's why he looks familiar.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you have Rebecca De Mornay is in it. It's a good flick. There's so much to unpack in it that you got to watch this movie more than once. But to me, it's got one of the better twists in movies I've seen. Yeah. Even though near the end you kind of start to figure it out. Some of it.
Yeah.
Out.
Well, they straight up tell you. They tell you what's going on, and then it carries on past that about how they're going to deal with what it is, or how he's going to deal with it.
But I thought this was a fun movie, and at that time, Cusack, I was really a big Cusack fan. I still like Cusack, but he's really slipped, into making Nick Cage movies.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think of this one? I really like this one. I like the
this was my favorite
it's raining. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do tell more.
I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I've seen it before, but I guess I'd forgotten exactly the end of it, the big twist.
Right.
And so I was just enjoying the ride, and I was like, "Yeah, this is a really good movie." I forgot that all these, characters just played off each other, and there's little things that kind of give hints along the way, like when Ray Liotta's putting his jacket on, and you see the stab blood mark on the back of the shirt. And it was just well done. It was really well done. And again, as y'all know how much I love Primal Fear, this was a really fun watch for me this week. I enjoyed it 100%, Alan. It was a good pick.
No, thank you. Rich?
Yeah, I think this is also the winner of the week. I mean, it's got an all-star cast, and all of the people that are in this movie, they just killed their role. It was it was perfect, and we're not giving away the ending, right? We're gonna not do that. Okay, so it's each one of these people plays a certain role that they're designated for. and the way they do it was very well done. It was moved together. And Jake Busey, whatever he's in, he just looks like a friggin' whack job.
Yeah.
He's always, even when he's not the bad guy, he's the bad guy. And in this movie, it was no exception. So I really liked it. I think that I think it could have been a longer movie. Actually, I think they could have done more with it, because it just kind of, when you're getting like down to the nitty gritty and we're figuring out what stuff is, things just like weird things start happening. It's a murder mystery, and basically people get knocked off one at a time. That's how it's going. But then it turns out that maybe something else is going on here, and when you finally figure out what it is, it goes past that and it keeps going. And that's what I liked. I really enjoyed that. I think they should have made it just a little bit longer, but I liked it. It was a win.
It was based partially on Agatha Christie's 10 Little Indians.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
I can almost see that. Yeah.
Yeah. And when it, that's too bad, Mike. I wish you'd had it. I think you would have enjoyed it with the audio description. And when it came out, it wasn't a big hit at all.
No.
But it became a cult. It had picked up this cult following, on video and all that, which I was disappointed, because I know Tina and I went and saw it at the movies, and I think my boys were teenagers or preteens at that time, and they went with us to see it, and they really enjoyed it. So, yeah, it's too bad, it wasn't a bigger flick, but it is seeing life again, on video and network and all that crap, streaming. So I think it was on Netflix last month, and it was doing real well.
No.
I believe. Scott?
I loved it. It came a very close second to Primal Fear for the best movies. I loved John Cusack and Ray Liotta just rocked this movie. All the characters, all the actors and actresses did it. It had the scene where I literally stopped it and went back and rewound it 3 times because I thought I'd missed something, was after Jake Busey escapes and as he's running across the field and what happens to him on the other side of the road. That was like, what the F? Yeah. And then from there on in, it just starts to make sense. It is bizarre. It is really bizarre, but yes, you do. Hang on.
Are you stroking pussy?
Yes, I'm stroking my pussy.
Look at that guy. Holy crap.
Yeah. I just thought the whole ending, whoever thought up the ending to that movie is a genius. And then even when you get to the twist ending, there's that little bit of twist at the end. This movie was brilliant. I loved this one. So, yeah, that's mine.
Well, you get to see, hey, Tomorrow War AO, nice you joined us. You get to see Cusack and Liotta, in their prime.
Yeah.
And, and those two guys are, my thing with Cusack is I think his politics, his take on life in general kind of got him into B-movie hell, and he hasn't been able to climb out. And he's a big fan. I mean, I'm a big fan of his. I love Better Off Dead and One Crazy Summer. And, all those movies are great.
Yeah.
I just wish he'd come back and be in, more movies like this instead of, Bruce Willis movies as the bad guy,
Where did he play a bad guy in a Bruce Willis movie?
Yeah, he played like a drug dealer or a pimp or something like that.
I don't remember that. One of my favorite roles of his is a really bad movie is Con Air.
I love Con Air.
Oh, yeah. It's a great flick.
Classic.
Oh, it is, but it's not a good movie. It's a fun movie.
He's in that movie that we did with Matthew McConaughey and
The Paperboy.
That movie? Such a good movie, and he kills it in that movie.
Yeah, he's the bad guy, right?
Yeah, he plays that redneck whack job. He's great.
Oh, Brad Hinkey died. Oh, all right. Okay. Brad, he wasn't he on played a bad guy on Justified? One of the brothers.
I'm looking him up now.
He's always a big dude.
somebody said, and he was a tank commander in Fury.
Was
Yes.
he the second tank commander when they went after the tiger?
Yes.
Yes, I remember him.
Yes. Ah, it's too bad.
He was Orange is the New Black.
I never
Oh, I
saw
haven't
that.
seen that.
He played Piscatella. He was, oh, damn. I didn't know. Wow.
That's too bad.
He was born in '66. Wasn't even that
Wow.
old.
Yeah.
Wait. I've got to look this guy up.
You'll know him the second you see him.
Yeah, second you see him.
He's an enormous dude. Always had a beard.
Played like the bad guy a lot.
Yeah, let me,
So he's number 2. We lost Christy McVie yesterday. We lost him today. So who's third? I didn't say it's not a good movie. It's a fun movie. I mean, it's not like an Academy Award production. It's a movie. It's a movie with Nick Cage, John Cusack, O'Brien from Star Trek, and Buscemi. You gotta love the movie. It's fun.
Well, how do you compare that with the Alcatraz movie with Nick Cage?
Oh my God, that's one of my favorite movies.
I think to me those are similar.
The scene when the 2 military units are facing each other down and nobody will give in.
Yeah.
Because it's not in their nature. Oh, that's one of the best scenes.
And the SEALs are dead because they don't have, like Obi-Wan Kenobi says, the high ground.
Yeah.
He was Tom Cullen in The Stand.
The new Stand TV show.
Oh, he played Tom Cullen?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that scene.
Lost, yes.
That's too
He
bad.
did a
Here
good
we go,
job
number
too.
3.
Oh, yeah. Gaylord
Gaylord
Perry.
Perry?
Wow.
Damn. You guys
He's
cut it out.
84. Oh my gosh, I feel old.
Wow.
Jeez.
I love that.
I want my $2.
Well, my $2.
So what do we give this movie, folks?
I'll give it a 4.5.
I'm gonna say a 5.
Scott?
4.9.
Wow. You ranked it higher than I'd give it a 4.5. I should say 5 so I win, but
No,
I give it
Hadley
a
said
4.5.
5.
And like
Yes,
Hadley,
a 5. You win. I mean, it was the winner of the week. I really enjoyed it.
Yay.
I get the trophy.
Yeah,
Is there a trophy? Is there a
the
prize?
dong.
The golden dong.
Yeah.
We got to make one
I
of
heard
those.
you
We
get
got to
one for
make a
Christmas.
golden dog and then
Oh,
have
yeah.
like if you like have the best pick of all we've done for the year.
Right? We can mail it around. Make it so we could drink out of it.
So who wants
pass
to
it
tell
over.
everybody what we're watching next week and why?
Thanks, Rich. What are we Christmas movies, right?
No, next week's
No?
Pearl Harbor.
It's Pearl
Oh,
Harbor.
No.
No,
It
Holy
is.
crap.
It's not?
That's right.
next
I
week
said-
is
Sent y'all the list. Did y'all not get it? I sent it.
yes,
to
and
y'all.
you said because it's Pearl Harbor, we're doing Pearl Harbor related movies.
Yeah, we're doing Pearl Harbor. We're doing somebody Alan, you picked Remembering Pearl Harbor. Or no, that's
No,
the name.
Scott
I'm
did.
sorry. Midway, the new one.
Midway, yeah.
Scott picked Tora, Tora, Tora.
Yeah.
I picked 1941 and Rich picked Greyhound.
Greyhound. Yeah.
I think you picked the best one of all the movies, Hadley, 1941. I love that movie. And people hate that movie. I love
No
that
one
movie.
thought of it. It was a dark horse in the running.
My
I
favorite
loved it
scene,
too.
and yeah, the Midway movie's the new one with Patrick Wilson and oh God,
What's his name from Lord of the Rings? You know, Hadley. You
Zombieland.
told me.
The British guy.
Yeah, he's not on our team. You told me that, Hadley. He's on the other team.
What?
What's his
What
name?
team?
You know?
What are you talking
we've all been on
What about?
something tonight.
He knows more about bats than
He likes boys. What's his name?
what's his name?
I don't
In
know
what
what you're
movie?
talking
Midway?
about.
Are you talking
Midway.
about the bad guy from Deadpool?
No, not Itch Green or whatever. his
I
name is.
can't
No.
remember his name. Yeah. 'Cause
But the
that's
other
what
guy, that was his commander or whatever. Or
I can't
Oh wait,
remember.
you're talking
Nicholas Hoult?
Greyhound.
No, he's
no,
No, which
Midway.
movie are we
fucking
talking
Midway.
about?
Midway.
I'm still
Midway.
trying to figure out what I said about somebody.
You know, he
I wanted to look it up right now.
he played a killer in the movie. Oh, what was it? Where No One Lives. You ever seen No One Lives?
No.
Well,
All I remember is
minutes, Alan. I'll get up. Give me a time.
Yeah, are you talking about Ed Screen?
No, not Ed Screen. No.
Luke Evans?
Luke Evans.
Okay.
Luke Evans.
Luke Evans. You
yes
told me. And I was like,
he is a
not
beautiful
Luke.
gay man. Yes.
You are not the
I
only
thought you were talking
one.
about somebody young. I was like,
No.
young. But yeah.
Thanks.
Well, that guy.
He's like 20 years younger than we are.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
So
$5
Pearl Harbor
Luke
stuff
Evans.
next week.
Yeah. Oh boy. Hey, we're over by 5 minutes.
He was okay. Maybe forget.
What?
Yeah.
5 minutes is
He was
good
born in
for us.
79. So.
All right. Well,
Glad you
Well,
survived.
we got
somebody
dead
said
air.
we
Feel
sounded
it.
screwed up as their mind. All right.
I wish
Well,
I
that's
knew
going
who
to do
that
it for
was,
this
because
week. Y'all
I
got
feel
anything crazy
really
going
bad
on?
for you.
No, nothing crazy here.
No.
Same old.
Just waiting on the release of Hunt tonight.
Alan's got
When
a
is-
new release.
When is that?
Yes.
Oh, and our
Sometime
friend
this month.
Johansson's got a new release on Audible.
Yeah. It's 10,000 page
Cataclysm.
book.
But that's it for me. I don't have anything.
Nope, I'm just working on the next
All
Nurse
right.
Alyssa book.
Great.
Well, we'll have
And
fun
with
next
that-
week, and we will see y'all then. So
We never do dead air.
Oh, I know.
gotta go.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Ciao,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Got to do some drinking. See you next week.
I think that
Yeah.
dong trophy threw everybody.
She can't turn. We're doomed. We have to stay here.
We're stuck here for eternity.
Oh no.
We should go out like the 70s sitcoms with a laugh, frozen laugh.
Y'all just don't know. I can't turn it off.
Yeah,
Oh,
let me.
no.
Heavens.
All right, here we go. Bye.